What's up, WordPress Warriors? Today is Friday, April 3rd. A little bit late in the day here, which means that probably this video will take forever to upload. Wanted to make this as quick as possible so that I can actually get possibly to my office to actually get it uploaded. I just got done with a session. I'm part of a mastermind group of SaaS founders. It's been an incredible resource for me. And I just got done with a session with a guy named Nathan Latka and some of the other people in the group who have largely been trying to do as much as they can for their customers. And I just wanted to give a quick sort of COVID-19 US specific breakdown on what sort of the best and brightest, or at least the people who know the most right now, in terms of what you need to be looking at for this $350 billion bailout money. Let's talk about the two different plans. You basically have the EITL, which is the emergency insurance. It's like the disaster money. It's the free $10,000. That's the money that is directly tied to observable, just demonstrable economic loss. Okay, and then you have the PPP, which is the payroll protection program. Those are two totally separate programs. And the guidance that I'm seeing is that you're going to want to apply for the PPP first, and not necessarily for the $10,000 of free money. Because it's totally unclear right now as to whether or not you can get one and still get the other. And for many of us, having our 2 to 3 months of our payroll paid for and have that loan forgivable by continuing to keep people on our payroll is obviously significantly more than the $10,000. So there's a whole bunch of people running around right now like trying to get their $10,000, and they really need to be zeroing in on this payroll protection program. So, so basically, that payroll protection program covers payroll, including the income that you pay yourself. It covers interest on loans. It covers rent. It covers mortgages, and it covers utilities. And so covers quite a lot. The general rule of thumb is what you want to do is look at your payroll for 2019, roughly February 2019 through February of 2020. Take whatever that number is, just payroll, not contractors. Okay, if you're using a service like Upwork, that doesn't count. Okay, this has to be payroll, and you divide that number by 12. Tack in things like rent, mortgage, interest on loans, etc., and divide by 12, and then you take that number by 2.5. That's roughly the number that you can apply for and get. You can use services like Lendio or Lendio, whatever this is, or Get Cabbage to facilitate this process. What you need to understand, though, is that when you see these really fancy, clean software as a service type sites that are going to help you get this payroll, you need to understand why it is that they are going to help you and what the play is. It's a data play. Okay, they're basically getting your information. They're turning around, and they very well just directly connect you with a great lender, and you can have a fantastic experience. But they're basically either selling the loan directly or they're facilitating you getting the loan specifically to get all your data. Okay, to know about tax, to know about payroll, to get millions and millions of small businesses worth of data. Okay, and so the best advice here, and the people that are going to have the best shot at this, are people who already have long-standing relationships with their local SBA approved lender. Okay, and so the goal here is no matter what, you're going to want to end up building those long-term relationships now. Okay, so the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago. The second best time right now. So if you can, there's differences of opinion in terms of whether you should just be going to large banks or smaller banks, and who's going to be able to get access to things quicker. What is clear across the board is that the paperwork that they need and the information that they need, there's going to be, there's a total of $350 billion. Okay, if they're handing out $100,000 on average, then there's only going to be 3.5 million businesses that get it, and there's 30 million small businesses in the United States. Okay, so you can work the numbers out here. A whole bunch of people are going to apply. Not everybody's going to get it, and here's what's definitely going to happen. These underwriters, they're used to handling, the entire SBA loans program is used to handling $25 billion in a whole calendar year. They're expecting them to do 15 times that amount in less than a month. Okay, so they're going to be completely inundated, they're going to be completely overwhelmed. And so if you dick up your paperwork, you're probably going to get shuffled to the bottom of the pile. And by the time they come back to you, the dollars are going to be gone. Okay, and so you need to get your application in as quickly as possible, but do not get your application in if you've got mistakes in it. Okay, get this stuff right, have all of your necessary documentation, have everything filled out correctly. Obviously, the better relationship you have with your lender, the better relationship you have with your accountant, the tighter integration you have between your payroll system and the bank, the better. Because if you get this shit wrong in your application, by the time they go to reprocess you, it's probably not going to work out. Okay. So there's companies again like GetCabbage and Lendio that sort of facilitate these things. I have seen there were a couple people in the group that they were using Paychex, they were using Paytola or something like that. Their paycheck company just allowed them to go in and download a full year's worth of the data, and it had like basically everything filled out exactly the way they needed it, and to get plugged into the application as easily as possible. If you have that upside, great. But basically, almost everyone is going to want to look at the payroll protection program more than they're going to want to look at the free $10,000 because there's a possibility if you get the one you can't get the other, and obviously potentially tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of payroll that's fully forgivable. That's a better way to go. Okay, and so how do you get it forgiven? Well, whatever the amount of money is that they give you, let's say that they give you arbitrarily $100,000, if you use that money immediately now over the coming months to pay your payroll and to pay your mortgage, to pay any rent, to pay business applicable expenses, including interest payments. So this is one key point that they brought up. You don't want to all of a sudden like pay one of your employees like $50,000 and then not pay them for the rest of the year. That's not going to fly. But if you do have sort of debt financing and you have loans that run multiple years in the future, you could look at prepaying interest. Okay, that's something to look at. But really, you don't want to be kind of gaming the system. You don't want to be giving yourself a big huge raise. Okay, if people are expected or projected to get raised, you can give them, that's fine. Basically use the money to pay your payroll and to pay those expenses that the loans were created for. And if you use up the whole $100,000, then the whole $100,000 loan can be forgiven. Now, one other point that came up is, let's say for whatever reason, you still have too much, you have too much of an economic downturn with your business and you have to let somebody go, and so you don't use up enough of the payroll. One of the things that somebody brought up is, well, why don't I just hire somebody else, okay, and to just burn up the money? The thing is that let's say arbitrarily you have $20,000 that is not forgiven, and now it's a loan, and now you have to repay it. The interest is 1%, okay, and so we figured it out. It was like you're going to pay something like, over the span of 2 years, you're going to pay something like a couple $100 in interest. So better that you use that money for something that actually will be impactful for your business. And so the example that was used was, well, I can't just spend the money on pay-per-click advertising. I should just hire a marketer that can do a job for me. Well, you don't know how effective that's going to be. You don't know how effective that person's going to work for you. So don't just piss away money hiring someone when you've got this incredibly low interest loan. Okay, use the money for what it's intended for. Hopefully you don't let anybody go. Hopefully you pay your payroll, you bring people back, but don't just piss the money away and try to use it all up so that you get the whole thing forgiven when you're actually could just use it for something that's really, really effective for your business that could have a much higher upside. So hopefully that all helps. I know it was all over the place and it's just machine gun. The thing is you need to, as quickly as possible, be connecting with a 7A SBA approved lender, a local regional bank, hopefully. The big banks, Chase, Bank of America, those kinds of organizations are all on the approved lists. You'll need to check whether or not your bank is, and if you're going to use one of these services like a Lendio or a Cabbage, reach out to them and ask them whether or not they're just simply selling the loan down the road, or whether they are a 7A approved lender and you're actually getting money from them. Okay. Again, the people who are going to do the best with this are going to be the people who already have an established connection, have a phone number for your local bank. Even if you don't need to borrow money from them, having that connection is going to be a thing that definitely greases the chute to get you towards this payout. One big thing that I was not aware of: the free $10,000, that money, you have to demonstrate loss. in order to be eligible for that. The payroll protection program is not for people that you don't have to show losses. Okay, the intent is that they don't want another 3.5 million people next week going to file for unemployment. And so, for myself, for my business, we've not seen a direct trackable decline, but it's obvious that we're going to lose some business and we're going to be impacted by this because some of our customers, all of their customers are restaurants. They're going to not be able to, they're going to have to tighten up the belt, and they may, we may lose them as a customer. But the point of this money is to infuse businesses with cash to keep their employees and to keep paying people as they normally would. Okay, so the $10,000 in free money, you have to be able to show economic loss. The payroll protection, that's not the requirement. Okay, I'll be trying to put all of this into like a cohesive PDF, but obviously we've got a lot of other things going on right now. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an accountant, so don't take any of this as gospel. This is just literally what I was able to cram into my head in an hour, engaging with people that had been doing a lot of work on this for themselves and for their customers. Really quick, the books today, Alter Ego Effect. I actually saw this guy, the author of this book, I saw him speak at a conference that I was at down in Atlanta. Of course, my internet is running terrible right now. This is infuriating. So yeah, the Alter Ego Effect here. Todd Herman, incredible motivational speaker. Really cool idea behind this book. The idea that you can imagine yourself as being a superhero effectively, and get into the mindset of that superhero to accomplish a task that you want to accomplish. And so a lot of athletes throughout history that like get into the zone, they were in the zone because they were imagining themselves as being literally just an entirely different person. And so really cool. This guy actually ended up being diagnosed with COVID, and he is still on lockdown from COVID. It's really been interesting to follow him on social media. So good book. Really cool guy, and someone that's been directly impacted by COVID. And he went home and basically started picking up the phone and interviewing amazingly successful CEOs, and he's found some really cool things. Some of that has been part of all of the other things that I've been learning through this mastermind group. Other book, I've not started reading it yet, but I am excited. It's weird to say that I'm excited to read it. I'm going to start reading it this weekend. Man's Search for Meaning. I'm not even going to try and describe it because you just read the descriptions. It's basically a psychologist who was in concentration camps during World War II, and it's pretty horrifying. And it's all about basically people trying to find their way through adversity, and how almost everything can be taken from you except your decision on how you're going to feel about stuff, basically. And so it sounds gut-wrenching and horrifying, but I'm going to plow through that this weekend, and I imagine that I'll come out the other side of it feeling, having a totally fresh perspective. So hopefully those resources help. We have had a couple of people asking us about the LTD. There are maybe 3 or 4 spots left. We have had somebody, I'm actually quite pleased, we had somebody hit us up and say, you know what, I was really excited to get this thing, but I thought about it more, and it doesn't make financial sense for me right now, and I'm really sorry, but I need a refund. And I love that they did that. That they felt awkward about it at all is troubling, because it's they shouldn't feel awkward. So we have had some refunds, and I'm glad that people are making the right financial decisions for themselves, for their family, for their business, for what they need right now. But if you've come to the page and you didn't see anything that was there's a couple spots now, and there was a couple price points that had not sold out. So I hope you're all well. I hope you're staying in. Let me know, are these videos providing value? Are they useful? Should I keep doing them? What should I change? Should I get a different background? Should I stop wearing monochromatic black and gray all the time? Let me know what I can do to help. So yeah, as always, appreciate your time, your feedback. It's been fun engaging with all of you on social media this week, and we'll do more of that as we go forward. And yeah, hope you all have a great weekend. Cheers.